Hello, you guys. This is Josh Vision, and I'm here to give you my Merlin Season 1, Episode 4 review. So, this episode, you guys, is really about Arthur trying to save Merlin. We start off the episode with, from the previous episode, you guys remember basically the sorceress, the warlock, the female, Kara. So, we see Kara side by side with the king of another kingdom. It's established in the episode that Camelot and this kingdom is kind of like each other's rival. And the name of the king of this rival kingdom, the Camelot, is King Baylord, I believe, or Bayard, or something along the lines. So they basically have reached this agreement of peace with each other. They're having a feast in which they're going to sign some treaty. So I believe Kara has taken on the role as basically a handmaiden for this king. And her main objective is to kill Merlin. Because as we've seen as we've seen in the previous episode, Merlin basically ruined her plans of basically destroying Camelot from within with the poisoning or basically the infecting of the water well, you know, and all that stuff. So earlier in the episode, before the whole meeting, we see her create some type of poison, for the chalice. And we see her, like, later in the episode, after meeting Merlin and catching his eye with her great beauty, that she switches the original chalice or like goblet that the king of Bayard, or the king of Bayard had with her own. So during the festivities and the feast, we have her telling Merlin that the king of Baylord or Bayard, whatever, that he intends on poisoning Arthur and that they have to stop him. So, knowing about how heroic that Merlin is and also how rash and reckless Merlin can be, she expected Merlin to do what he did, and that was take Arthur's goblet, basically his drink, from his little cup, whatever, and drink the poison himself. Then again, wait, I'm trying to remember what happened because obviously he didn't drink it, like for the sake of like drinking it to protect Arthur. I think there was something I forgot about the episode of how it got to that point. But either way, Merlin, he falls down unconscious. He's been poisoned. So we have Arthur and Gwen and Gaius enter into Gaius's, studies, and they're trying to figure out what the freak happened. They check within the goblet and they find out that it was a poisonous leaf or plant, that was stuck inside the goblet. And Guy's still able to figure out that's like it comes from the Mortius, I believe, or the Mortis plant. And it comes from a certain like forest, like far away from Camelot, but not too far. So Arthur asks Gaius, how long does Merlin have, until he ultimately succumbs to the poison? And he says about 2-3 days, maybe 4 or 5 if he's extremely lucky. So Arthur, despite the fact that this is a dangerous quest for anyone, especially the Crown Prince, he decides to do the noble thing and actually tries to go find, the antidote for Merlin, which is actually in the very forest where you can find, these Mortius plants, whatever. So he's about to go. His father isn't really feeling the idea. He's like, nah, you can't go. You're the crown prince and all that stuff. So he basically forbids Arthur from going. And it's after a pep talk from Morgana about saying what makes a true king, if a future king, if as a prince he does everything his daddy tells him to do. She basically tells Arthur to man up. You are your own man. You're already proven yourself in terms of your warrior, ilk and all that stuff. What kind of king can you be if you can't even save the lowliest of servants, who is clearly your friend? And what kind of man are you? So Arthur disobeys his father and he makes his way towards the forest. So after this, Morgana and Arthur's father, the king, have this conversation, and he's like, I can't believe Arthur has disobeyed me. He's, I will not take this, this disrespect, especially from my own son. And she basically speaks the same thing she said to Arthur earlier about, listen, he's his own man. Let him make his own choices. And I'm sure Arthur will, like always, rise to the occasion. And he's like, okay, what if he doesn't? I mean, he's my only son. What would happen if he were to die? And Morgana's kind of left speechless. So Arthur meets Kara, you know, in the forest. And while this is happening, when he first meets her, Gaius figures out who was responsible for the poison. Now, and we find out it's Kara, but her real name is actually Nimue, I believe. And it's said that Nimue has history with both Gaius and King Uther from about 20 years ago. So it's very interesting, like what kind of past relationship that, they have, with one another. It seemed like it's actually a very deep, deep path beyond the whole magic is evil crap. So either way, Arthur meets Nimue, and at first he thinks she's like some innocent beauty. I believe she actually summoned like some type of creature, and she feigns that she was in trouble and Arthur saved her. So she tells Arthur about she knows where to get the plant he needs to heal Merlin. And once they get into this cave, it's a trap. So Arthur's hanging on by a thread, literally. He's hanging on closely. And she could have killed him, but she says it's not in her destiny to kill Arthur. So she summons all these spiders, these weird, creepy little crawler spiders, and she like leaves. But Merlin, even during his unconscious state, is able to summon some sort of light, that gives Arthur enough vision to grab the plant that is needed and for him to ultimately, escape. So when he returns back to Camelot, basically, his father's pissed off. He has Arthur, locked up in a dungeon. Arthur tells his father that he believes he did the right thing and he would do it again. And his father says, give me the plant, because he wanted to look at it. So Arthur gives him the plant and his father crushes it. Like, basically the majority of the plant. But Arthur's able to salvage enough of the plant that when Gwen comes to, give Arthur, his dinner or whatever, he sneaks it within the meal. So that way Gwen can go off with it without the guard noticing it. So she's able to give it to Gaius, and Gaius tells her to go fetch some water, but that's just an excuse for Gaius to basically reveal to the audience that he actually does know some sorcery. He does know some warlockness. He knows some magic, and he uses it in order to turn the plant into like a tea-like herb. And he gives it to Merlin. At first, we all think he's dead because Gaius says his heart stopped. But it turns out Merlin was just playing with him. And when they thought Merlin was dead, Gwen actually kissed Merlin, which I thought was very hilarious and funny. Because it was kind of awkward. Because so far in these episodes, it seems as though Gwen is attracted to Arthur. But it does seem like she does like Merlin. So the question is, does she like both of them at the same time? Or does she really like Merlin? It's like, it depends on your viewpoint, whatever ship you want to, coupling you want to, go for. So anyways, long story short, we have like Uther and Morgana and Arthur basically at the top of Camelot, looking down, at the people. And they're talking about what had happened. And Uther speaks with Arthur about how despite everything that happened and how Uther could be very harsh on Arthur, he wants him to know that he's very proud of him and he's thankful for him, being his son. And he asks Arthur, was there ever a time when she was really afraid? And Arthur was like, a little bit, she could have killed me, but I don't know why she didn't. She said it wasn't her destiny to. I guess I lucked out, basically. So after that, we have Arthur checking up on Merlin and Merlin being thankful to Arthur for saving his life. And that's basically how the episode ends, you guys. Thank you guys for watching. If I missed anything, rest of the comments down below. Josh Vision, adios.